Hello, today I will show you how to train profitable smithing on an ironman. This doesn't require having any ore, it just requires some GP, but don't worry if you don't have a lot. You'll end up profiting in the end, you just need a bit to get started. This is also an ultimate ironman friendly method and in fact is pretty common for UIMs. With this method I will be doing mithril plate bodies which requires 68 smithing, but you can also profit with steel plate bodies at 48 smithing. But you need at least 60 smithing for this to be profitable because if your smithing is lower, you'll have to pay extra to use the blast furnace. If you're smithing the plate bodies at the blast furnace, you also need 60 smithing to access this area. For your gear, you'll want weight reducing armor and ice gloves. If you don't have ice gloves, you can also find this bucket spawn and fill it with water to grab your bars. You can also use the smith's uniform to speed up your smithing on the anvil. If you're not an ultimate ironman or not doing the no banking method, you can use this just fine. Otherwise, I don't think it'd be worth it unless you don't mind using staminas. In your inventory, you will need some GP and I recommend a coal bag. If you're doing the no banking method, which is doing the entire process all at once instead of baking the ore, you will also need a hammer in your inventory and can use elk runes if you want some magic XP. Otherwise, there is a shop where you can sell plate bodies for high elk value instead. First I'll show you the banking method. The ore seller stands in this spot here and stocks a lot of different ore. Here you will buy an inventory of coal. If you have a coal bag you can fill this and then buy more coal or myth. Bank this and do another trip to get the last ore that you need. Mithril usually requires 4 coal to smelt it, but at the blast furnace you only need 2 coal per myth ore. Once you have the amount of supplies you want, you'll hop to a blast furnace world and smelt it. Deposit as much money as you want in the coffer so you can use the blast furnace. You can right click and fill your coal bag from the bank without having to click the coal. It doesn't matter whether you do coal or mithril ore first, but in total you will do 1 inventory of mithril, 1 inventory of coal, and 1 bag worth of coal, which is like a second inventory. Grab your bars and bank them for later and repeat until you've used up all your ore. Doing this method, you might want to use staminas if you have them. I keep mine in 1 doses so that I don't have to worry about banking the leftovers. Then you can just take your bars to any anvil, preferably Varrock or Prif because those are both very close to the bank. Smith them into plate bodies and then you can elk them. Now for the other method without banking. For this you'll need GP, a hammer, and runes in your inventory. Deposit some money in the coffer and keep the rest in your inventory. Grab coal and mithril, take these to the conveyor belt, then grab your second inventory of coal, or you can do coal myth instead, it doesn't matter what the order is. Grab your bars and smith them into plate bodies. Once you're done, you can elk them. If you're using a rune pouch, you can ditch the coal bag to get the perfect number of inventory slots to make 5 plate bodies. Once your ore stock gets low, you will want to switch worlds. You can put ore on the conveyor belt in a non-blast furnace world, it just won't get smelted until you hop back to a blast furnace world. So for this method, I would recommend finding a section of worlds, maybe about 6, that has at least 1 blast furnace world and no one else buying ore. Keep in mind that ironmen, group ironman, and UIMs all have separate stock, so if you're a group ironman, you can buy from the same world as regular irons and ultimates and mains. So see seeing someone else there in a non-blast furnace world isn't always a bad thing. Just keep in mind when hopping worlds that you don't want to have only coal on the conveyor belt because then it will get deleted when you hop. Now that the guide portion is done, I'll test this method out for an hour and show you the results. I'm starting with 100k in the coffer and exactly 500k GP in my inventory. I'll be doing the no banking method because I think that's just easier to test out. Okay, see you back in an hour. I'm back and have 739k GP now. If I grab the rest of my GP out of the coffer, that's 795k total. You use about 72k GP per hour from the coffer, but since you hop worlds with this method, the GP isn't used up while you're in another world. I started with a total of 600k, so I profited 195k this hour, and used up about 194 nature runes and 969 fire runes. Of course, you could also use a fire staff or bryophytus staff and tome of fire to save runes. And here's the XP I got. 55k smithing XP and 12k magic XP this hour. Nothing crazy as far as XP, but it's a great way to train smithing when you don't have a lot of resources. I think banking the ore and smelting it would be about the same XP per hour, but you could speed up the smithing process with the smith's uniform when you're making the plate bodies. That's all for this video. I hope this was helpful to you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.